All right, so I've discovered that usually even before the laptop says that we've started, sometimes it'll just start right away. So hopefully we've started. Hi everyone, hope you guys are doing well. I am Olivia Reiner. If you are new to our live streams that we've been doing the last few days of training camp, and I'm joined today by Tom Silverstein. He's new. We haven't had him on the show yet.
My first time, my debut, 2019 debut.
Wow, this is a big deal. This is a very big deal. So we're happy to have you. Thanks for joining us. We're saving the best for last. Don't tell the other guys I said that.
Okay, yep.
We've had everyone else. Yes, but this is not going to be our last live stream. We will certainly have more as training camp progresses every single day after practice. It's going to be a marathon, quite literally.
Yep, and there's a lot of practices to go.
Oh, yes, but not tomorrow. So we won't be around tomorrow. We will be taking technically a day off, but there are
day off. Yes.
There are coordinators speaking tomorrow, so you'll be wanting to make sure you're following us on Twitter. We'll be live tweeting the press conferences from tomorrow. Mike Pettin hasn't spoke in a while, so it'll be good to hear from him talking about the defense.
Guys too, just hearing about how things are going with the installation of the new offense.
Special teams as well. Yep, gonna be interesting. So I am gonna pull up this time on my phone some of your questions over on Facebook. If you're over on Facebook, hello, where are you watching from on this lovely Sunday? Thank you for spending time with us on your Sunday, on your weekend. That's very kind of you.
Hopefully you're using sunscreen.
Yes, it's a hot day out there today. Yes, we should also be live over on Periscope and on our YouTube page. We are on every social media platform these days.
Everywhere.
All over the place. So let's see where we are. Hello, everybody. Ooh, Mark is from Germany.
Germany.
Wow. Barcelona, Spain.
Oh,
Gerard.
Barcelona. I love Barcelona. I've been there twice.
Gosh, you guys are from everywhere. I am from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Not as cool as Barcelona, but still a pretty. Thanks, Tom.
I won't even tell you what I think of Philadelphia.
Oh, we don't have to go there then. We're not going to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is coming to Green Bay.
Yeah, I better be careful either way,
Yeah, there might be some Eagles people out there. Oregon.
Beautiful.
Wow. Okay, Columbus, Georgia, Toledo, Ohio. Hello, everybody. Let's start taking your questions. We appreciate you chatting with us over here on Facebook. Mike wants to know how Rashawn Gary has been looking today, and I guess we can just talk about how he's been looking all training camp. I mean, he's been pretty impressive so far through training camp.
Yeah, he says sold. He's a big, powerful man. He's quick. It's really obvious that he's got a lot of ability. I think he's winning a lot probably on his strength and his quickness, and now he's going to have to learn that when he starts playing, big time offensive tackles around the NFL week after week, that they're going to study him and they're going to work on his moves and they're going to know how to handle his bull rush, and he'll have to progress from there. But it's clear he's a really good athlete, and there's a lot of potential there.
Mm-hmm. With Preston and Darrius Smith presumably ahead of him in the depth chart, how much can Packers fan expect to see Rashawn Gary on the field this season?
Well, I think kind of the beauty of Pettin's system is he can get anybody on the field at any time. And so if Rashawn Gary warrants playing time, he'll get him playing time, and he'll get him playing time with Preston Smith and Darrius Smith. There's ways to do that. All three of those guys can play outside linebacker. They can play inside pass rusher in the nickel. I would not be surprised to see Gary, Preston Smith, and Darrius Smith on the field at some point, or maybe quite often this coming season.
Andy wants to know, how has Aaron Rodgers looked so far? Not just, I guess, today we can talk about specifically because the pads did come on for the first full pads came on today. They had just their shoulder pads on yesterday. How is Aaron Rodgers looking? How is he feeling? How is he progressing as this offense continues to be installed?
Well, it struck me today. I had an observation today, and I need to go back and look at my notes, but it seems to me that he throws to Davante Adams almost every time. Like, that's his comfort level right now within this offense, is he knows where Davante Adams is going to be. And I don't know if that's just because he has that comfort level with him, or if it's because the other guys are still learning the system and aren't as open as Devontae Adams. But I've been kind of surprised that he hasn't spread it around more. That's one thing I've noticed. I don't think there's a problem with him running the offense. I think it's just getting used to it. I think it's going to take weeks for everybody to get used to it and to play on the same, sort of chord, to be on the same note. And right now, I don't think anybody is. I think they're all a little bit off. But I don't think there's anything to tell me that Aaron Rodgers is playing poorly. I think he's going through some of the growing pains that everyone else is.
I noticed today a couple times when they were going 11 on 11 where the quarterback, I don't think it was Aaron both times, but the quarterback would call whatever the play was in the huddle, and then they would all line up, and then I think twice they had to go back into the huddle because something wasn't clear. Yeah. I don't recall that happening over the last few days. There's going to be growing pains. It's early in training camp. But what do you make of something like that when those types of things happen?
Yeah, that did happen a few times. It happened, I think it happened once or twice a few days before that. When McCarthy was here, everybody was supposed to know the offense that quickly. They would just move on to the next play. If you screwed it up, oftentimes, he would blow up and then just say, next play. LaFleur takes the time to come back, talk to everybody about it. It creates a little bit of a lull in practice. So if you're trying to create a tempo, it kind of disrupts that. But I think that's probably because he wants to get everything right now. As they move forward and they're making those kind of mistakes, then maybe he won't tolerate it as much, but he wants to get it right. So it does, it creates a little bit of interruption.
Mm-hmm. Certainly impacts the energy, and that's something that Matt LaFleur has harped on quite a bit, is making sure the energy is high during practice, and it certainly seems like those moments kind of kill it a little bit.
Yeah, and the other thing I noticed today was, and of course I have McCarthy to compare to because he was here for the last 13 years, and my memory isn't good enough to go back to Mike Holmgren or Mike Sherman. So Mike McCarthy in the early parts of the build up to the first day of pads was when they came out in pads, they were just like their hair was on fire and everybody couldn't wait to hit, and they do this half line drill, which was really physical, and so the pads were popping and everything on the first day, and that wasn't the case today. It was just like any other practice. I didn't notice any real excitement over being in pads. Now maybe that's LaFleur's way of being a steady Eddie and just worrying about right now not so much the physicality of the team, but getting everything right. So we'll see how that goes. I know he said that he would like to see it picked up a little bit. So that was an observation I had today.
All right. So I'll take a question here now from Antonetta. She wants to know, how is Cole Madison looking? How is Elton Jenkins looking as well? We'll start with Cole Madison, who I think stood out a little bit today. He had a good performance in his one-on-one drill against Tyler Lancaster. I did not watch it. I was not standing there. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I think there will be a note on him over on PackersNews.com later today, so make sure you're checking out all of our coverage there as well if you're interested in reading up more on what happened today, specifically at training camp. But what have you made of him so far? Matt LaFleur touched on him a little bit today. Someone asked him about Cole Madison, and he didn't say very much.
No, because I don't think there's a lot to say yet. He's third string. He's a center, third string center, and it's obvious that he's got to get back into football shape. He missed a whole year, and this is the first time he's had pads on in over a year. Probably 2 years, or at least a year and a half. And so that's going to be a process. Right now, he's buried on the third team, and that can change. That can change with injuries. We'll see. As the preseason goes on, I'm sure he'll get more opportunities. But right now, his opportunities are limited. Jenkins, he's been playing, I think, second team right guard. And I've had multiple people tell me this guy is a center and he's going to be a really good center in the NFL. But right now they've got Corey Linsley. And so the Packers are going to play him at guard and try to see what they can get out of him at guard. He had some trouble in pass rush drills. He's a work in progress. He's a big man, very physical, really tough. And I am anxious to see him play some center. I want to see what he looks like. I think at some point they'll have to try him there, because if he makes a team, he's going to have to be a backup somewhere at multiple positions. But right now, I think he's learning guard, and that's kind of holding him back a little bit. He's got to learn that position.
Mm-hmm. Michael wants to know how the defensive backfield is looking. It's been interesting because Darnell Savage has been out the last 4 practices, so presumably he is one of the starting safeties, and we haven't seen him in that role. So most commonly we've seen Raven Green in the free safety, sort of switching with Adrian Amos as well. What have you made of the safety depth that's going on? And then maybe we can touch on cornerbacks in a second.
Yeah, I have to admit I haven't watched a lot of Raven Green. I've watched some of Amos. I've watched the corners more than I've watched the safeties. I do keep track of the rotation. So Josh Jones is in that rotation, although he's also playing inside linebacker in the nickel. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody else. Natrell Jamerson has gotten a lot of reps with the second team. He is a second team safety. Now, when Savage comes back, I suspect that bumps him back to third. Sure. But he's getting a lot of opportunities. I haven't seen a lot of interceptions from the safeties, but there's nothing there that stands out about him right now. So, corner.
Were you done with that thought?
Yes, I was done with that thought. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to actually have you take a step closer to me because you're falling off the screen, and we want everyone to make sure that we can see Tom's face. That's important.
My balance isn't very good anymore.
That's okay. Okay, we're happy to have you back. Welcome back. Robert is not confident in the backup quarterback situation on the Packers right now. Doesn't sound like he has much confidence in either Deshaun Kaiser or Tim Boyle. How are you feeling about their backup situation? If Rodgers were to go down, would Tim Boyle or Deshaun Kaiser be ready to step up and fill in for him? And then, hey, Manny Wilkins has been getting some reps as well.
Don't discount him. Don't count him out. I mean, this kid he's got a really nice arm, really accurate. And he brings a little bit of juice to the game. He's really excitable, and he may look like he's the kind of guy who runs around, but he stays in the pocket and he can fire it. I've liked him. I really think he's going to get a chance to make the team. Now, Kaiser is always intriguing to me because there's times you look at him and you go, this guy shouldn't be playing in the NFL. How can he not hit this simple route? And then there were a couple times during camp this year where he hit some beautiful passes, completions, which is what I really hadn't seen very often. So he has made some strides. I think he's a little more confident with what he's doing. I think he's throwing better, but he's got to eliminate the bad plays. That's what kills him. And Tim Boyle is, I think, still in a learning process, trying to fit into this offense. He's got a lot of talent, big arm. We really won't know a lot until they play a game and start getting some action against other teams, because that's kind of where Tim Boyle showed himself last year, and that's how he made the team.
Mike wants to know how Dexter Williams is looking through these first 4 practices of training camp. Jamal Williams has been out with a hamstring injury. Have you seen Dexter Williams been able to step up a little bit now with Jamal Williams, his reps on the line sort of for anyone to claim?
Yeah, so as a runner, Dexter Williams is very talented. He had some very nice cuts today. As a pass blocker, it was atrocious. Oh, my God. He got run by at least 2 or 3 times where he barely got a hand on the guy. So that's an area they're going to have to work on a lot. But, that was true with Aaron Jones, and it was true with Jamal Williams to some degree. Pass protection in the NFL is so important for running backs, and very few of them have to do it to the degree that NFL backs do. So Dexter Williams, there's room, time to grow. But, that's something. He can't get on the field on third down if he's not going to be able to block. So that'll be something to watch.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Jeff would like an Oren Burks update. Big year for Oren Burks. He's got a big jump to make. A couple days ago, I guess now in practice, if you haven't seen it yet, I have a good clip of him making a pretty good interception, picking off Deshaun Kaiser. He was one-on-one against Aaron Jones. There's some discrepancy in whether or not there might have been a little bit of holding in there, so perhaps you can share your thoughts with me as to what you think. But regardless, it was a good move. He showed some good length, reaching there for the ball. It was a good play. But now the pads are on. Things are different. What did you make of him today and through training camp?
Yeah, so Oren Burks is getting a chance. Patton has him with the number one defense in the base defense. And often he moves to Josh Jones when he goes to the nickel, but sometimes he leaves Burks on the field. I think he's a guy who can add some speed, but he's got to learn a lot about, the switch-offs, the crossing routes, how to cover those kind of things, how to handle play action. There's a lot of things that he's still learning. I would think that he's better after a year, but until, again, with all these guys, I hate to keep saying it, until we see him actually play some games, we don't know. But he's getting a legitimate opportunity.
We talked a little bit about this on our live stream yesterday, and I know this has been something that we've talked about even before that, but wide receivers, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of competition, not just at the top, but also toward the bottom as well. And the big question that Matthew has is, how many wide receivers are going to make the team this year? His number is 7, and so I just counted out those names in my head, and I believe that would include Jaikumar Moore. But Jaikumar Moore is still certainly on the bubble. Who would you see 7 guys making the wide receivers team this year, or do you see it being fewer?
Someone would have to play themselves into the 7th position. So whether that's Jaikumar Moore, Jaikumar, Trevor Davis, I'm sure I'm forgetting some people. Shepherd. I don't know about 7. 7, they had the luxury of doing it last year. It kind of depends on where their offensive line is, how many guys they want to keep there, how many tight ends they're going to keep, how many backs they want to keep. I think it's hard to predict that right now, because until you see what the roster makeup's going to, you have any idea what the roster makeup is going to be. But it's going to be a fight for 5, 6, and 7. I think you got Adams, you got Allison, and after that, Valdez-Scantling, he's going to make it. St. Brown will probably make it. So let's assume you take those 4, then you've got all those other guys vying for maybe 1 spot, maybe 2, maybe 3.
Ooh, so Tom's pretty harsh. You're that tight, you think?
Yeah. I mean, this thing, you got to perform, and every year there's competition, and every year there's someone who comes in and pushes for a spot. And so if any of those guys let up, they could find themselves on the street.
We'll take a couple more questions from you guys. Darrius Shepherd, Andy is really emphatic. He really likes Darrius Shepherd. How do you feel about Darrius Shepherd so far? I know you kind of have him on the bubble there as being one of those guys that are going to be vying very hard for one of those spots in the wide receiving core.
Yeah.
How realistic is it that he'll make the team, if not practice squad?
I think returning will be a key part of his chance to make the team. I think he could maybe carve himself out a little spot by doing that in addition to receiving. It's early. It's way too early to. I mean, you see the guy make a few catches and things like that, ask me again in 2 weeks and we'll know more about how the wide receivers are shaping up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone seems to want to know about Jaikumar. He's always a hot topic among all of you. Equinemius St. Brown as well.
Yeah.
Initial impressions of how their training camps are going?
Kumaro's been solid. I saw him drop a pass, which was pretty rare. St. Brown, I thought, started out really hot, and then all of a sudden I haven't noticed him. I really haven't noticed Valdez-Scantling very often. There's not been a lot of big plays with him. Some of it is where they're playing guys. Some of it is with, like I said, Rodgers is throwing to Adams all the time, and that's his safety valve right now. So let's see what happens when they start to get a little bit more in tune with the offense. Then we'll have a better idea where the wide receivers rank.
Mm-hmm. Andy says that he would rather have Shepherd over Jaikumar. So okay. I'm sorry for calling you out there, Andy. There might be some people in the comments coming for you in about 5 seconds, so just beware, because I know he's a fan favorite. Yes, we haven't had you on, obviously, but yesterday was our first opportunity to react to Mike Daniels going to Detroit. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers did not want to see Mike Daniels come and be able to play in Lambeau Field often, and guess what? He gets to play him once at home and once on the road every single season that Mike Daniels is with the Lions. What do you make of Mike Daniels heading not too far away from Green Bay?
Well, good move by the Lions. Good move by him to stay in the division and up-and-coming defense with a new coach in a system that's proven in the NFL. But there's a reason they cut Mike Daniels, and some of it is his inability to stay healthy. And there's no guarantee that he will be healthy when he plays Green Bay. Maybe he will be, maybe he won't. I don't know. You can say that about anybody, but of late, last couple of years, he's had some injury issues. I think the Packers decided that they like the bigger, taller guys, that they feel like they offer a little bit more flexibility, and that Mike Daniels is pretty much a static player. You put him in one spot, and that's what he do. Where he should be, inside pass rusher, and he's not satisfied with that. I think he wants to play all over the place, and I think they just made the decision that it was best to part ways. Now, not getting anything for him, that was troublesome. Now it's hard to give away a guy who's making $8.5 million, but Detroit, that's about what they paid him, and they didn't have to give up anything for him. So make what you want of that, but probably a good gamble for the Lions.
Mm-hmm. We discussed this more yesterday. We actually talked a little bit about yesterday how the defensive line is now looking without Mike Daniels. It's a highlight over on PackersNews.com, so you can go check that out, watch it. Me and Ryan had a pretty good conversation about that. Last question. Rich wants to know, will the live blog be back for the preseason?
Oh, gosh, yes. Absolutely. Are you kidding me? I've been doing finger exercises, hand-eye coordination things so I can watch the game, type, look at questions. So absolutely, it will be back. First preseason game, and every week after that, except the bye. So I'm ready. I hope you are. Tell your friends.
We're all rejoicing, Tom. We're looking forward to it already.
Right.
Guys, that is going to wrap up our live chat for today. Thank you for joining us. If you are watching us in the future, make sure you're sticking around for our other live chats in the future. We will be doing them after every single training camp practice, so we'll have lots of ability to talk to you, answer more of your questions, and we'll also have lots of content from training camp over on PackersNews.com.
Including the podcast, which Jim and I are going to go record right now. So it'll be up first thing Monday morning.
Ooh, lots to look forward to, lots of stuff coming over on PackersNews.com. Make sure you're checking it out. Also, make sure you're following us on social media so you can get all of the updates that we're tweeting out throughout training camp as well. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time. And now I need to go down here and end our live stream so you can hear me.